Well, let's get the show on the road. Good evening, everyone.
G'day.
Okay, and everybody out there in Facebook land, we're actually live at the moment, so on Facebook, and then that gets uploaded, downloaded, and then re-uploaded on YouTube as well later on, so you can catch up later on. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame Wednesday Words. I'm Thundercloud, riparian. My mum calls me James, and you can call me anything but late for dinner. But, hey, what have I been up to this week? Lovely person here in town passed away. His name was Ray Martin this week, and I was off at his funeral yesterday, and I would like to start by honouring his memory with a bit of poetry that I wrote for him. But before we move on, I'd first of all like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land on which we hold this poetry tonight, and the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame sits the Kamilaroi people and also the Banbai people nearby, and all Indigenous peoples and First Nations peoples and First Nations sovereigns of this land and their continuing connection to the land of elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge sovereignty's never been ceded. And with that, I'm going to move on. And last week, it was a bit of a shock when someone who I'd met when I moved here to Guyra unexpectedly passed away. And this is written last week during the morning, waking up in my meditation, called The Unexpected Visitor, and it's a dedication to Ray Martin, not the journalist, but the local fellow, Ray Edward Martin. I received an unexpected visitor today, the spirit of a man who'd passed away. He loved country music and his name was Ray. And these were the words that he had to say: "Death isn't where the living ends. My soul is just fine, please tell all my friends. Rivers flow to the sea around many bends and come from the rains that the cloud sends. From between the clouds broke a ray of sunshine, saying life, change and death transforms the divine. Do what you love and don't always toe the line. When the rains pass, the weather becomes fine." The next thing I heard was a message for me: love comes from within and costs nothing, is free, and the past, future and memories in the moment. Just be and flow like that river going down to the sea. Water runs in the gutters and flows down the street. The trees and pastures think rain is a treat, growing peaches and cherries, juicy and sweet. Rain provides water and grows things to eat. Ducks in the lagoon open wings and fly like souls of the passed away after they die, saying celebrate life. Smile, laugh and don't cry. After the rain falls, there are times that it's dry. Never give up and keep on down the track. Life is a roller coaster and I'll be coming back. Wheels on the rails, clickety clack, click clack. The sun still shines above clouds that are black. This is the message from passed away friend. As the earth spins, the day and night never ends. Sun rays travel straight lines and do not bend, and cry like the rain falling, and from loss we all mend. The clouds closed and the sun ray went away, and this was the last message that he had to say. Live with love in each moment of every day. Dance, sing, laugh in this theatre of life that's a play.
I'll put that in.
Thank you. So I'd just like to acknowledge all the grief of all the people in town and Ray's family, and and his memory as a wonderful man. Two more. Well, we have got the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, and so I'm going to do a couple of inductees from the past. One that I really do is Henry Lawson. mainly because I don't know a lot of his poetry. I'll be the first to admit that. But yesterday at Ray's funeral, the introduction song was Slim Dusty's Looking Forward, Looking Back. Looking forward, looking back. It's been a long way down the track. So I started to look up Slim Dusty because he was a great lyricist and by default poet who put his lyrics to music. And on that particular video on YouTube, there was this quote from a Henry Lawson poem.
He did a couple of albums, I think, too.
He did, yeah. And so the quote was, "And my dreams are strange dreams, are daydreams, are grey dreams, and my dreams are wild dreams, and old dreams are new. They haunt me and daunt me with fears of the morrow. My brothers and they doubt me, but my dreams come true." And so I went off searching away and looking for Henry Lawson's poem about dreams, and I eventually found it in one called The Wanderlight, as in W-A-N-D-E-R, wander, as it go wandering. So The Wanderlight by Henry Lawson, who, by the way, only lived to 57, because he was an old fellow when he passed away, so, yeah. Hello, welcome, Saul. Have a seat. Alright, so this is The Wanderlight by Henry Lawson. And they heard the tent poles clatter, and the fly in twain was torn. 'Tis the soiled rag of a tatter of the tent where I was born. And what matters it, I wonder, brick or stone or calico or a bush you were born under when it happened long ago. And my beds were camp beds and tramp beds and damp beds, and my beds were dry beds on drought-stricken ground, hard beds and soft beds and wide beds and narrow, for my beds were strange beds, the wide world around. And the old hag seemed to ponder. 'Twas my mother told me so, and she said that I would wander where but few would think to go. He will fly the haunts of tailors, he will cross the ocean wide, for his fathers they were sailors, all on his good father's side. Behind me, before me, oh my roads are stormy, the thunder of skies and the sea's sullen sounds, the coaster or liner, the English or foreign, the stateroom or steerage, the wide world round. And the old hag, she seemed troubled as she bent over the bed. He will dream things, he'll see things to come true when he's dead. He will see things all too plainly, and his fellows will deride, for his mothers, they were gypsies, all on his good mother's side. And my dreams are strange dreams, are daydreams, are grey dreams, and my dreams are wild dreams, and old dreams are new. They haunt me and daunt me with fears of the morrow. My brothers, they doubt me, but my dreams come true. And so I was born of fathers, from where ice-bound harbours are, men whose strong limbs never rested, and whose blue eyes saw afar. Till for gold one left the ocean, seeking over plain and hill, and so I was born of mothers whose deep minds were never still. I rest not, 'tis best not, the world is a wide one, and caged for an hour I pace to and fro, I see things and dree things and plan while I'm sleeping. I wander forever and dream as I go. I've stood by Tabletop Mountain on the Lion at Cape Town, and I watch the sunset fading from the roads that I marked down. And I looked out with my brothers from the heights behind Bombay, gazing north and west and eastward over roads I'll tread some day. For my ways are strange ways and new ways and old ways and deep ways and steep ways and high ways and low. I am at home and at ease on a track that I know not, and restless and lost on the road that I know. Henry Lawson, 1902. The Wanderlust. And then there's one more that I'm going to do here. Gwen Harwood lived till she was 75. Born 8th of June 1920, passed away on the 4th of December 1995. Nee Gwendolyn Nessie Foster. She was an Australian poet and librettist. Gwen Harwood, she was regarded as one of Australia's finest poets, publishing over 420 works, including 386 poems. So I've already quadrupled hers. So.
If only she'd written more short stories.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Only she'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, so if I keep writing a lot, then I'll eventually make 386 good poems. Eventually. Yeah. All right, Gwen Harwood. This was one suggested by Susan, who stepped out, kind of to celebrate in a gory way Halloween. Yeah, but which was a few days ago, Sunday. Yeah, but it's called The Glass Jar. A child one summer's evening soaked a glass jar in the reeling sun, hoping to keep when the day was done and all the sun's disciple cloaked in dream and darkness from his passion fled this host, this pulse of light beside his bed. Wrapped in a scarf, his monstrous stood ready to bless, to exorcise monsters that whispering would rise nightly from the intricate wood that ringed his bed to light with total power. The holy commonplace of field and flower. He slept. His sidelong violence summoned friends whose mosaic visions saw his heart entire, pincher and claw, trident and vampire fang envenomed. With his most secret hate reached and came near to piercing in the thicket of his fear. He woke, recalled his jar of light, and trembling reached one hand to grope the mantling scarf away. Then hope fell headlong from its eagle height. Through the dark house he ran, sobbing his loss, to the last clearing that he dared not cross. The bedroom where his comforter lay in his rival's fast embrace, and faithless would not turn her face from the gross violence done to her. Love's proud executants played from a score. No child could read or realise once more. To bed, and to worse dreams he went. A ring of skeletons compelled his steps with theirs. His father held fiddle and bow and scraped ascent to the malignant ballet. The child dreamed this dance perpetual, and waking screamed, "Ah!" Fresh morning to his windowsill. As ravening birds began their song, the resurrected sun, whose long triumph through flower-brushed fields would fill nights, gulfs and hungers, came to wink and laugh in a glass jar beside a crumpled scarf. So the loved other is held for mortal comfort and taken, and the spirit's light dispelled as it falls from its dream to the deep, to harrow heart's prison, so heart may awaken to peace in the paradise of sleep. That's it. Right, well that's it for me at the moment.
I'm going to give us a talk about why you put that book together about Ron and what you got out of doing it. Just a couple of minutes and show the book. It's really very fascinating, that. Why did you do it? People would be interested. Anyway, it's just a thought of do it another time.
Yeah. Well, are you going to read tonight, Saul?
Oh, yeah, if I could just so I
And Isabel? Yeah? No? Alright. Okay. Well, Ashley, would you like to come on up? Yeah.
Well,
Ashley Albanese, everyone. Welcome, Ashley.
yes, well, this isn't a poem, but it's going to be. I saw it last week and I drove specially to have a look on the old Tinga Road at this once again because it speaks for itself actually. You could have a 300-page lecture on semiotics involving it, I think. It's a very narrow bridge and as you approach there's a sign, 1 lane, then there's another sign, no overtaking or passing. Now mind you, it is a very narrow bridge. Then there's another sign, kangaroos, beware of the kangaroos, and emus. This is an Australian government sign, and then there's a big logo, Building Our Future, with a 7-starred logo and a road going to infinity to show the power of infinity, and also relating to our Jungian love of 7 stars on our national flag, I suppose. Then something new from when I was a boy traversing bush roads, www.infrastructure.government.au, all on that sign for Building Our Future. And then there's another sign. That's why I wrote all this down to go through, because a poem it is and it's not. In a box at the bottom of the great Building Our Future sign are the words, project managed by the Armidale Regional Council. Then there's one more sign, 40 in a big circle on bridge. Now you cross the bridge and you come back south and you've got all the same signs, except on the southern side you've got, believe it or not, they're in a different order, and you've got a sign saying give way. And I find that quite remarkable. Slap bang in the middle of the bush. The government have put their print upon us and upon Mother Nature. May she be fecund and prosper. But I'll turn that into a story or poem down the track. When I was in the bush today, I wrote this. I think of the rise and fall of every day that you are part of in your way. The butterfly I dream to be is mirrored in the seeming me. Kids agape follow the cave's bubble mouth where glowworms wink and swim. Winged creature or biped man, well, a third is there in the span. Know the magic creature we would claim, the God within of light. Beyond the flame, tells death, there is no doubt we are a wander whereabouts. But oh, the sudden black wave that no shadow of sends across the grave. Oh, naughtness that we're pleased to find we are not, some still assert, unfinished finishments. We go like glowworms, crisscrossing a soft pink pocket. There you go. Now you know. And here's an epic from Bazo and Jonano. We've had the Armidale Dirigible Hostelry Association. We've had the vision of the convict stain and how we will atone by sitting in tin nuclear cans at the bottom of trillions of tonnes of water. And now tonight we have this commendation from the brain of Bazza. Bazza and I were perambulating Beatty Street. I was remembering my friend who arrived from Germany 40 years back, I was looking at Bazo. This is John Ano. He wrote to me, especially for this evening. And my German friend said, the taxi driver, what's Armidale weather like? Taxi driver replied, ask me in 10 minutes. I did not laugh once again when my old mate Bazo went through that. I could see other things were on his mind. He has a mind, has Bazo, and something of the other too, though it's hard to know what the other of mind is. I often ask him what is so, he never replies. One of our regular discussions concerns phenomenology, but we only share a passing interest. I read Sartre, who surely only reads Sartre, and he doesn't read Heidegger, whom he calls Heidegger. What he means by that, well, John Ano, Baz says, I'm pushed this week, so I'll get you to deliver my thoughts in epistle form. He always drops off the E. Don't forget the E, he goes. John Ano sometimes adds too many O's to Bazo. So this is what Bazo said. He said, that's both before and after as we were. Why are you rushing, I thought? He called out, you see this pseudo-granite cross here at the crossroads, towards the eastern end of the mall, I nodded. It represents symbolic genuflection to the old gods. But I want to show you the new command, the new God articulate, the American toilet that was put in with the highest polish of techno 30 years ago. I wondered about all this. Bazo got really wound up. He saw my quizzical look. Hurry, just wait a minute. I'll reveal the future to you. Way to go. And Bazo rushed towards a pulsing green neon button on the Exelou corner. Well, the corner is also shared by a city bus stop and the Hellenic Greek-style courthouse. Bazo loves Western civilization on the table end, and he harangued. We are connected, he always exhorts, a bit ominously at this point. Bazo is an exhorter. We must avoid exhorters. What are you, John and Nono? What are any of us, I always think? Well, attracted to that truly visionary gleam in Bazo's eyes, though of course I'm not, I'm fearful of it, but I am attracted to it, aren't you? We all need these charismatic maticisms. Many individuals have this confliction, whole nations too, from time to time. I even knew people from a tribe who went all the way with the divine glitter in the eye and stiff hand eternity. Bazo groaned from constipation. I realise now in retrospect, he urgently pressed the door open and I heard a richly velvety American voice intone. Voiceover, welcome to Exelou, pause button to lock door. And it was so beautiful and impressive. I felt my bowels move in response. I was seduced to giving my all to this polished techno toilet time American Californian event. Well, seconds before, here at the cross, says Bazo, looking admiringly to the once proud Bank of New South Wales, now transmuted in our time to Westpac, under the influence of Japanese capital investing into the once upon a time Bank of New South Wales. Bazo went on, here is Western civilization, the amalgam of Ionic Greek columns on the Law Court building, opening through to Old Gaelic Cross, and next to the space-age Californian-style toilet block. He had a cubicle of confident power, the aplomb of historico-hygienic technological observations. The aplomb. It was my moment of quiet reflection. I waited. Last time I sat in the bright, shiny stainless toilet bowl, the voice in its steady licorishness intoned, your maximum use time is 10 minutes. I remember, why not 3 or 30, I thought, but quizzing self and evacuating systems along, I thought that after all, these facilities were public. You paid for drink and services, food up and down Beatty Street Mall, but not keeping one's function in balance through the process of defecation. It was still provided at the responsibility of city government. At this juncture, there was an electric sort of rumble, and the American Yankee voice emanated, sounded like God giving Moses the 10 Commandments in the Cecil B. DeMille epic of the same name. Press button to unlock door. There was a sound of intense mechanical unleashing of gushing cold water upon Bazo's COVID-aware digits, and the metallic mirror-like door rumbled apart, relieving a more relaxed Bazo. Jono, no, you must forgive me. I've been particularly lully. I wish he would stop this lully with the particularly. Combobulated in a flash. I realised, yes, Bazo went on, I realised I was seated within, musing on the guided electronic control of my unfailingly accurate body, and the press button to close door stuff came at me, minding my own business. When I looked at him concernedly, he began admonishing. The voice went, "Warning, no one has been detected." Sitting calmly, "Warning, no one has been detected." But Basso and John and I are sometimes, we're not just like someone to you. You're not then discussing. Well, he got incoherent at this point, and I wondered if the American voice hadn't given him a sense of a bombing raid. Near the Gaelic court at the side of the Hollywood, for these units of Western civilization, Basso was pointed regarding, and he meant futuristically with us. The letter goes on, and he comes to the end. I'll have to give it to you another evening, but he goes on and he finishes. He got really carried away with this majestic, technologised toilet at the crossroads at the eastern end of Beatty Street. It's got many pages of philosophic projection and templated thought. So he finishes, "I speak to you tonight on behalf of Bazo." Well, I wrote this up to help him out. "Tonight on behalf of Bazo Lectum Writer." My surname, by the way, is Dugdale, John Anono Dugdale. No, not Dogdale, just plain John Anono Dugdale. Oh, no, it's my middle name. I've expressed his thoughts on this great issue without circumlocution or unseemly language, and finished by observing that an official of the blue-coated constabulary had rounded the corner, because Bazo and I had been too involved in our philosophical, well-sophical speculations that we'd forgotten to do our coding and correctly covered up to state protocol. One must remain balanced in all things. We'd forgotten to service his service, New South Wales COVID Security Code. We hurried away, unobtrusively adjusting our masks above nose level, but Bazo looked exultant. We moved down past the police station of the park, richly mimicking the press button to unlock door. "Door is unlocked. Thank you for using excellent."
Well, the next one.
I'll do it all next to it.
Oh, that's fine.
It's booklet.
Look, I look forward to Baz and John and that stuff.
I'll do that.
It's a long way from the dummy cart down the back alley, isn't it?
Yeah. But isn't that just the shittest music in that toilet? Yes, we can all relate. We've all been to the techno toilet in Armadale.
You get all the techno stuff, of course you do. You go into the toilet and you get all this techno stuff.
Right. Last week I'd been writing sort of like a chapter a day, and chapter 4 came after poetry night. So it basically refers to a lot of stuff that happened last week. And it ends with the joke about the laughing monks, because there were these 3 laughing monks that travelled all through China, and they'd go to a town and then they would stand in the middle of the town and laugh together, and people would gather around and their laughing was infectious. And so once all the town got laughing, they'd move on to the next town. So the rest of this story is the punchline to this poem. Chapter 4, A Night of Poetry. While not a competition, a room full of poets is like an all-in brawl without the violence. Each competing to have their words heard. MC that I am, calling it to order a room full of poets is like putting shackles on a greyhound. Possible, but hardly effective. Launching into doggerel verse, a kookaburra laughs, and laughs some more, and laughs more. Then, entertaining with a smattering of humorous anecdotes, here comes the political rant. then a bit more fun. The roadmap of life is a poet's dream until Baz and John Ono lay out a dystopian Armadalean perspective on the Chinese dream to buy Australia. Riding a pig while the quaint little Sunday morning street in Gyra is peaceful and warm. 2 cups of chai, 1 black tea, 5 coffees and a bowl of pumpkin soup. Now we're looking out over a horizonless ocean as the blank canvas that is life. This includes a punching peacock mantis shrimp, which is neither a peacock, nor a mantis, nor a shrimp. But it is a stomatopod and it does punch. And that is about as violent as a room full of poets gets, talking about punching stomatopods. 5 little puppies got run over by a truck and 1 died from poisoning because it ate a cane toad. Otherwise, it was a rather jovial and fine-natured evening. One might even venture into the historical college halls of the English language to select and utilise the adjective jolly. Jolly poets proselytising. Yes, it was a funny night. There were 3 laughing monks and they were famous. And when one of the 3 laughing monks died, a villager asked the 2 remaining monks why they were still laughing. They replied, "Our dead friend came to us last night and said, 'Wouldn't it be funny if I died tomorrow?'"
That's pretty funny.
It's funny, isn't it?
That's very Murdoch Brechty, that one.
Yeah, thanks very much. All right, well,
His greatest plays about people coming to Chinese marketplaces and The Good Woman of Szechuan.
that is a very good poem, that one.
It's a good play. I've never seen it. Anyone here seen Good Woman of Szechuan?
No.
No.
Oh, just the professor, yeah.
45 years ago.
All right. I was 5.
Something like mine.
This is one from a good friend of ours, a poet, Steve Wordsmith, who's away at the moment, who's our poet in residence here. Written by him and a friend of his, Jessie May Bronch, something, I don't know how you say it, SCH. But it's I'm a dingo, not a dog, and they sent this to me last week and wanted me to read this one out tonight for them. I'm a dingo, not a dog. He's been here since time began, dancing with ancient beings not bred by man. He doesn't take instructions as a normal dog would do. He has intuition. It evolved in him through and through. It's part of Eco's balance to have him around, so don't get confused. You'll hear his howling sound through mountains and in the desert throughout this southern land. He's a native of this country, leaving paw prints on the sand. Cats, foxes and ferals are nothing but devious perils who hide when the dingo stands, standing tall and proud, as I said, since time began. Australia has an extreme environment, but that didn't stop the dingo from enjoying it. Thousands of years of adaptation should attest bring light into this wicked nation. Oh, should at least. Okay, they've joined them. Thousands of years of adaptation should at least bring light into this wicked nation. Yeah. Good. Okay. So yeah. And I'm going to read before I call on Gladys.
Yes.
Yeah. This was chapter 5, Morning at the Lagoon. I had the good fortune on Sunday to go for a drive with a friend of mine who's very passionate about the water and the watershed that is the top of the range here. So we went out to a lagoon called Little Llangollen Lagoon, which out of something like 30 original lagoons is like the most pristine out of the whole lot up here. It's about the same size of Mother of Ducks Lagoon here in Guyra. And then there's also Llangollen Lagoon, which is much more degraded because it's not a protected area. And I went out with Doug actually, and one of the amazing things was that I think we went through in our 30-kilometre drive about, and we only really sort of did a loop about 15 kilometres out and back. We went through about 6 or 7 different river catchments. So from the Macleay, the Gwydir, the Clarence, all starting up here within 30 kilometres of Guyra. Oh, there's the Clarence, the Macleay, the Gwydir, the, was it Gear or something like that? Gera? Yes.
The Guy Fawkes, like the man into the Guy Fawkes.
Yeah, and then there was Demerit Creek or something, and something that starts with R
I
as
never
well.
consciously thought that or realised it. Makes it a very important watershed.
It is, and it is a watershed because like we're up here and the water flows in all directions downhill. This was, chapter 5, morning at the lagoon. Suspended at the top of the great dividing range are a series of lagoons. These lagoons are part of what's known as a watershed, and the largest and most impressive is Mother of Ducks, or even actually Llangollen, Little Llangollen. And to the north, the water drains west into the Gwydir, and this is off the Mother of Ducks Lagoon. And to the south, the water drains to the east into the Macleay River. Not only does this lagoon feed these rivers, but it's also home to thousands of water birds. And if you go there early in the morning, it's amazing what you'll see. A pelican floats looking for fish to eat, while black swans swim and nibble a treat. An egret and herons, waders and waterfowl. In a hollow gum lives an old owl. There's turtles, water rats and yabbies in there. Wallabies drink so do rabbits and hare. From this lagoon, which isn't a lake, keep a lookout, for there's plenty of snakes. Thousands of water birds afloat in the morning welcome the new day, the sunrise and dawning. Reed warblers flit in and out of bulrushes. Plovers screech while other birds hushes. So many ducks that I couldn't count here at the watershed at the top of the mountain. I wish you can visit and see this sight soon. Thousands of water birds on Mother of Ducks Lagoon. Surviving the drought was a biggest test. Filled with water and life now, there is no rest. Migratory birds come from far away to feed, nest and multiply every day. And and that's it. And I did mention the pelican. There was a pelican up here last week, and
I saw a pelican at Castle Doyle on the dam.
seriously huge. Like it flew away, and then it came back and it circled me about 6
That might be the pelican that regularly comes over to Demerit Dam.
Yeah.
It's a pelican regularly.
Okay, it was huge. It was really big. It was like when it flew, it was bigger than me.
Breed guy was strength, Brahmin like that.
Yeah, I will later. Yeah.
I'll read it.
Out to the sea to grandma.
Would you like to come up, Gladys, now?
It was her like.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. All right. Gladys Wilson coming up.
I like Doris Stream. Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that one too.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's nice to have you in here at the Poetry Hall of Fame. Some of you I don't know, but that doesn't make any difference. And earlier, I think I was quite aware that James had used a quote from my poem, The Roadmap of Life, and I'm sure he has used a quote. Now, that's not good.
I'll be right.
Luckily, he didn't do any more. Okay, well, this is the farmer's plight. Our farmers face a challenge now as drought grips the land, and all they ever ask for is just a helping hand. The pastures once lush and green are now all brown and bare. where the stud cattle grazed on the property at Blair. But the battle must go on now to save his precious stud. As the 5th generation farmer, this life is in his blood. As the farmer's mind drifts back now to the days he can recall and glances at the family portrait that's on the Hampstead wall, they were the battling pioneers, the backbone of this land, but to see total devastation now can all be seen firsthand. With dams that have stopped flowing, as no rain falls from the sky, just a whirling haze of dust clouds swiftly passing by. The working dogs on the farm are true loyal friends, following their master every step as the daylight hours descend. The men and women on the farm are our guiding light, so help them all you can to end the farmer's plight. Yes, that was right back in the when we had the drought there. And so James just snipped that in there. I'll have to watch him in future, because he'll be taking over my business.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
Have you?
No.
You'll have to write one about Colonel White.
Yeah.
You'll have to write one about Colonel White.
Well, we'll have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
I'll
must have been such a character.
Yes, I'll have to watch
Do you remember him, Bronwyn, Colonel White? That's all right. Michael Forsyth's story was him very strongly.
I knew Mary White.
Yeah, no, it's a more distant branch of the tree. You knew Mary?
Well, yeah, she
When
was
you were a
actually
little girl.
in Ghana, and it was very touching. We were looking at a picture of horses, and I had a very cuddly jumper on, and she was stroking the
Right.
dog.
Oh, Mary is.
You knew Mary too, did you?
Yes, I knew Mary
Sure.
Graham.
Oh.
Yep. Worked
You
with
married
Mary
too?
Graham. Worked with Royal Blair for 21 years, I think, in the homestead at Royal Blair.
Or the mystery of the history of the
Right.
mystery. Oh,
That's it.
go,
Yes,
James.
knew
Yeah.
the White's very
Look, I find it fascinating talking to Gladys. She's got
Oh, I
a
have
lot
some
of history.
fascinating
Yeah.
stuff I could tell.
I've
I found a bit about James too.
got a fascinating story about Mary.
Mm.
that
All right, well,
Fascinating.
are you going to come up next, Saul?
Yeah.
If you like.
All right, well, I'm going to do one. Before I do the next one, I want to do a quick survey. How many of you have ever heard that random nonsense saying, she cried as she waved a wooden leg above her head? No?
That's a
Well,
yeah.
that's a dramatic image.
That's exactly.
My father-in-law used to call out, like sometimes, too late she cried as she waved a wooden leg above her head.
Might be a Queensland thing.
No, it's an international thing because it's. I googled it and I tried to find the origin of it. A lot of people that I came across. Yeah, it's like why is an orange? Because a duck has no armpits. It's sort of like that nonsense kind of thing. Have you you've heard that one? No.
Why is it orange?
Why is an orange? Yeah.
I'd be more likely to use that than a
Yeah.
wooden leg.
So anyway, look, this is a little bit of nonsense verse based around what I was researching yesterday with this particular phrase. She cried as she waved a wooden leg aloft and the baby's head hit the ceiling. Thank you, kind sir, for your gift of a wooden peg. You'll never know the relief that I'm feeling. And that was when the door opened wide and in the villain hastily ran, asking, why is an orange and why is a hard-boiled egg in your pram? A duck has no armpits and can't play a silver trombone or a golden flute. Penguins are naked, don't give a dog a bone or get a cold, and never wear a penguin suit. Honey dippers are wooden and worn, plus they never give a shout. There was once a man whose pants were so torn that they let his Willy Wonka bar fall out. Too late, she cried as she waved a wooden leg above her head and the price of timber rose. A spider swung down from above and landed on the baby's woolen booty-clad toes. She took the wooden peg and said, it's time that I washed the floor, hit the villain over the head with a leg and showed him the way to the front door. a duck and a penguin were licking orange blossom honey from honey dippers, while the man with torn pants was drinking green tea and eating chalk-coated kippers. The spider ran up the baby's leg and stopped when it reached the baby's nose. The dog never got its bone, and penguins still never wear designer-label clothes.
Very Australian.
Yeah.
Did you write that?
Yeah.
Very Australian.
Yeah, it's just a nothing. It's a bit of
Very funny.
yeah. It's next to it.
Or Darby.
Yeah, I know. There's a bit of surrealism there. Yeah.
Definitely a bit of Lewis Carroll.
That's
That's
it. Lewis Carroll's a really big influence on me.
He did some wonderful
He
stuff like
really
that.
did. Yeah.
I'll remember that till the day I die. She cried and raised the wooden leg above her head. And the price of wood went up. That's what I'll remember. That says so much, that image.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
If it was shown on television to all 8 billion, the price of wood for wooden legs tomorrow would go up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So look, I'm going to invite Saul up now.
Okay. I've just got a couple today. Today's a bit of a special day for me. It's been 5 years today since my old man passed away. So, I sort of.
Can you tell us something about him? 3 things.
Oh,
Painful, don't worry if you can't.
my old man was a wonderful fellow. Ron knew him well. Yeah, and from the old push days, many years ago in the city, in Sydney, and he lived to be 86 and had a wonderful life through and through, he had lots of kids. There were 9 of us all up and stuff, and he painted paintings and did all things art and flary and stuff,
And music.
And music, art and music.
You'll have to bring a painting and show
Where
him.
his things, I've done a couple of portraits and stuff of him and things. He was a huge inspiration to my painting. When I got sick, I couldn't play my drums and stuff anymore, so I turned to painting at about 42 and did some nice stuff that I really enjoy. And anyway, I thought these are a couple of poems that just sort of came to mind that I go through. One of them's just a little odd thing that I did where we got a bunch of words from friends and put them down, and then we wrote ourselves a little poem from it. And this one seemed relevant. Let the show roll on. Play the stars twinkle like glitter. As I watch, I wonder why. Quiet and sparkling wonders send my feet to standing. I spend my time as their audience and throw my soul to dance and twinkle by their side. This is another one. This is a sort of a love poem. So this one's called The Show too, ironically. When the one you love can't make it to the show, when everything about them sets your heart aglow, but still the show must go on, even though you know there's sadness written into every song. And all the folks who come along rejoice because you help them find their voice, and they can sing along, sing out loud and strong, to counteract the silence that overwhelms the abyss that forms betwixt the pieces of their broken hearts. And they know that they are not alone. And though the loneliness is stark, even though the loneliness is stark, then they thank you for the show. They walk away and know that one day, strolling in the park, an opportunity and possibility of sorts, and possibility and hopefulness may spark the mystery of love, and it may pull their hearts together. And although each day the show goes on in a happiness of sorts, I still miss the one that sets my heart aglow. I wrote this because I wanted you to know I still miss the one who can't make it to the show.
Wow. So I'm just going to check around.
I'll do a song if you like.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I found one on my phone.
Okay.
I'll have to read that one because it's the only one I got here on the phone.
I can sing the song later on.
This is called an azalean anchor. Azalea like the flower. I have seen the shape of shapes to come. Your children's 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 children. No more clothes on skin, on flesh, on bones. No more buttons or zips or threads or fluff. Our happy progeny will sculpt themselves. Many will be exoskeletal human crabs, pink and hard, 8-limbed and periscoped. More varieties of digit, pincer and extension than a Swiss Army knife. All vital parts well carapaced. Behold, these blessed bio-artificers, immune from brutal blow or bruise. Sometimes soon for science clients, body shops will sell real bodies. Florists will offer flowery filters, transmuting noxious fumes into scented breaths. Our kids will implant orchids, tendrils wrapped up their nostrils, petals growing out of their cheeks, like eraser-head foreshadowed chicks, flower heads to colonize Mars. Years from now, sipping decaf in the Kufürsten Dam, tails in mobile water tanks, mermaids will turn no heads, and ursine unicorns will wing it to the hippodrome to watch the yahoos up against the Houyhnhnms, and equine equity unsettling the score, as thoroughbreds bet on human races and centaurs sit in senators' seats. Thutmosis frescoed hall in Karnak, the interstellar tavern in Star Wars, the Starbucks at the end of the uni. All these once and future forms I saw, and I wondered how this multiphony plays within what overarching rules. And then I got 4 more lines which I don't like, which I'm going to rewrite. I'll read them anyway just to finish it off. Then Darwin's voice in stern Miltonic yam. Man still part of nature is, and can't her laws repeal, no matter how you splice the genes and zap the species seal. That's it.
Last words again. That's the last words.
Last word.
Yeah.
Seal. Zap the species seal. Like 7 seals.
Oh, good.
Seal.
I really like that.
Yeah. Good.
And the last lines too, the last 4 lines.
Yeah, I like the last
Yeah.
Oh, I want to keep them there. Right.
Don't have to have another version, have 2 versions or whatever. So I'm going to ask if there's anyone else who wants to.
Yeah, I'll sing a song.
All right. Well, Ashley Albanese again.
Yeah, I was busy out in the bush today. Well, the bush was busy with me. The bush was busy with me, I think. I like to sit and write philosophical rambles. This is one. The pessimist looks at the bowl and sees a wall of trunk. The optimist looks to the branches and sees the bright blue sky spreading. The philosopher sees and tries to balance both. And then I was wandering along and I thought, at the end of the line, always more than a kite, even if it's just the end of the line. So, as I was coming round the corners, been a night of everyone thinking about bends in rivers and corners, I wrote this song. On the wind, on the tide, my once and forever bride, how I hold you, mould you through the dream, in seeing beyond the sea. The fluttering black backdrop curtain in shivering rents is there. It falls an avalanche of quiet, it falls though ever there. On the wind, on the tide, my once and forever bride. That's funny, that song. The curtain rent that falls so quiet like an electric light.
Now I've got something to read out from Lindsay Rowlands, who's over here. Has asked me to read out this one called Flow, and he said it's channeling like the beat poets, was it? Yeah? Alright.
Imagine a jazz ensemble in the background.
It's well beyond the time Hypnos was revisited, and the question of relativity to a time, era, eon is scrutinised. Not cosmic relativity, but personal sensitivity, as well as a manner of style and comportment. How you carry yourself, grace under fire or groove on a pyre. It's all a matter of poise. Let me ask you now, what's going down? Can you grasp this tone of easiness, its vibe, that snaking, twisting elegance of form in motion, effortless effort and flow? Doing is being, and being is in and of the moment, the now moment. Dig? I'm talking about fluidity in thought, intention and action, the same as moving like a tango dancer with crystal awareness, but not vigilance, beyond and through relaxation, transcendence of any kind of mental or physical effort, self-possessed, not self-involved. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Oh, no, thanks for the read. Yeah, that's good to get someone else to it.
It's like a lecture from, the psychotherapy East and West guy. All these lectures are still on TV.
It's always a challenge reading something out loud the first time. I like to have a bit of practice, but it doesn't matter. I think I got one little trip. Look, I'm going to read out.
I was love that.
Gyra's Strength.
Bronwyn will like this.
Yeah.
Could have been written for her.
It's dry. The sun shines and the winds blow. It's dry and wet. There's sleet and snow. If you live in Gyra, you'll get cold. Live tough and strong and live real old. Living in Gyra has wind and sun. People here walk fast and run. Frosty briskness in wide blue skies, red sunset and misty sunrise. Ice on Mother of Ducks Lagoon. Spring rains bring more ducks soon. Sunset and the fresh day ends, sitting around fires, yarning with friends.
Mm,
Look, I'm going to take you on a bit of a Lewis Carroll journey, but it was inspired by the Jabberwocky, this one, but it's definitely not the Jabberwocky. It was, I kind of blew a few brains away when I did this at the Lismore Poets Cup one year, performance or poetry cup one year. I didn't win it, but I certainly blew a lot of brains.
Is this the new dictionary?
This is the flugel of Bligalash. I'm going to put on a hat to make it like more surreal.
The Australian version is the Yabberwocky,
Is
isn't
the Jabberwocky, yeah.
The Gabriel.
Yabber. Yabber. Or Yabber.
In the flugel of Bligalash, the greel up the crushed, walkling sliffishly, the klebim the drosh, gravely ended them, hoffingly zock, hollack hast broidened, twad chickers plock. Twad chicker can sport, ze plock avec Christus, ze busht und klept whilst drust stopping flistus, but greel up genottest, klebim ze plock. Avec ze broidened, sliffishly broidened hock. Christus bump bracken twad chicker replocked ze alocka, reclaimed ze insta poet jocked avec ze mogly bugratcha slap. Ze fuck fuckery and your loud plackety zap. Flistus has klopt, the klepting and brushting, summons it holak and grielopke sliffishly rushting, tall-ended sliffishly, triffingly hastock, doc nifed nem ronively lag far twill flock, plock twas ended from grably, and strongly through days and dark overgone, all briskly through. In the flugel of Bligalash the glielopke crashed, walkling sliffishly ze kleb him the drals, grably ended them, hoffingly zok. Holak has de broidened, twad chickers plock. Hey? Oh, it's in Garbly.
You're channeling James' voice.
I just wondered, were you really reading that then?
Finnegan's
I was
Wake.
really reading that,
I
yeah.
was just wondering how you spell like one break.
Oh well, like to just to go through the background of it. I was sitting in the main street of Nimbin, and I'd written the first two verses in the flugel of Bligalash the Grielop of Crush, Walkling Sliffishly, the Klebim, the Dralsh, Grably ended them, Hoffingly Zok, Holakas Broiden, Twodchickas Plock. And in that Jabberwocky sense, I put that one back at the end to finish it off, to wind it all up again. But yeah, there was bits of sort of little bits of sort of Frenchy sounding stuff, German stuff, but yeah, there's Chris, like where it says where is it? Oh look, there's all kinds of stuff. There's Lagfar till flock. Lagfar is like the end of village farm and the beginning of pharmacy. Village Lagfar. Yeah, it's like taking that. And Nemronivni is environment, spelt backwards without the T on the beginning. Yeah.
Well, all those Gaelic people, in a sense, have been colonised by the English language for good and ill and ill.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was just a sort of like my...
Well, it is fun, I must say.
Oh, it is. Because it takes you on a journey and you sort of... You haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, but it grammatically it kind of makes sense in this sort of...
tries to process it like as English.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a little journey. It's like, ooh, I get that.
Yeah. And it really depends like on how you deliver it
absolutely.
too. A lot, especially like that last when you repeat that first part. Like I lifted up into like something really good's happened at the end. Grably ended it. Hoffingly Zok. Yeah, you just through the intonation it lifts it up. Holak hast broidened, twad chickas plock.
That's what Finnegan's Wake is like for 300 pages. And many people still read it. I never have, but that's what I've read books about it.
Yeah.
And it ends with the words, away at last, alone, aloved along the... After 300 pages, it ends with those fascinating words. Away at last, alone, aloved along the...
Yeah, you'd just be left hanging there like along the what? Yeah. Wow, anyone
Too
else?
many words.
No?
That's it.
Alright, well,
No.
let's end... Last week I ended up with Tinga Billy and the Wild Boar, but I'm not going to do that this
I
year.
got a really small little silly one I'll just read from here. It's
Yes,
fun
please.
Just to get it
Go.
Life so full of tribulations, library full of explanations. But if a pigeon read a book, how much different would its life look? Rising high above adversity, the pigeon rose and rose and rose and rose, until one day all its wisdom fell away, when from high above it spotted its true love. Enough of books and highfalutin, I'd rather spend my days rooting. So down he flew, no books today, with my pigeon love. That's where I wish to play.
Yeah.
the sexy one.
All right. Well, I'm going to end with myself a bit of bush poetry, humorous verse.
I'll read this first. Since
All right.
you. Sure, you'll read it right. And it relates to what you're going to read afterwards.
Oh. Okay. So this is by Patrick Kavanagh, The Great Hunger, just given to me by Ashley over there to
It's
read.
not much heard of here, but with the Irish, they all read him.
Okay. All right. So ploughman. I turn the lea green down gaily now and paint the meadow brown with my plough. I dream with silvery gull and brazen cow, a thing that is beautiful I may know. Tranquility walks with me and no care. Oh, the quiet ecstasy like a prayer. I find a star-lovely art in a dark sod, joy that is timeless, oh heart that knows God.
Very famous with the Irish.
All right, thank you. And Froggy Flat. Poo. Why does it always end with shit? All right, Froggy Flat. A peaceful place is Froggy Flat. And my story is quite funny about a man named Phil McCall who fell head first in the dunny.
Not again.
Oh yeah. It was a dark and lonely night, and this is not a joke. As Phil walked to the toilet, the dunny made a croak. He turned his phone torch on and opened up the door, and as he walked inside, the dunny croaked once more. Croak. It was dark inside the dunny. No, the dunny kept on croaking in the middle of the night. He shone his torch about to find everything all right. It was a long drop compost with not a pleasant smell, and as he opened up the lid, he tripped and his phone fell. It was dark inside the dunny, but he knew his phone was right. It had landed on the sawdust, and Phil could see the light. He went back to the kitchen and he got a pair of tongs. His feet were cold, and so he put on a pair of thongs. And in the dark he couldn't see that the thongs belonged to his wife. They were way too small and the cause of the up-and-coming strife. His wife awoke to an empty bed, and she also needed to pee, and in the dark she donned Phil's thongs because she couldn't see. In Froggy Flat the dunny is far down the garden path. In Phil's big thongs Mrs. McCall slipped and fell flat on her ass. Phil was head first in the toilet and he was leaning in, reaching for his phone when Mrs. McCall burst in, saw her thongs on Phil, and she began to yell, and in surprise Phil lost his grip, and that is when he fell head first in the dunny and landed on his phone. He wiped it off, and that was when he found he wasn't alone. There inside the dunny was a giant green tree frog staring him in the face and croaking on a log. Mrs. Mac looked down the hole and said, "What can I do? I'm busting for a pee and I really need to poo. I've got a turtle head and it's starting to poke out. Call the SES, you stupid woman!" Phil began to shout. Mrs. Mac got angry, pulled up her nightie and had a sit. She let it rip, and Phil McCall got covered in more shit. She went back to the kitchen and made a cup of tea. After an hour or so, she called the SES and all Phil's mates to come and see. They had to dig him out as Phil was firmly stuck with a pump, an excavator and the local sewage truck. That afternoon, Phil was freed and gave a happy shout. He'd been stuck in shit for 14 hours before they finally dug him out. A peaceful place is Froggy Flat, but you won't find Phil McCall. The locals now refer to Phil McCall as Fill Me Hole.
Scatological.
Yeah, it stinks, I know.
Oh no, it's really
Yeah. All right. Well, if there's anyone else wants to do one, no, we'll call it a night there. We will for Facebook and those people out there, and we'll continue afterwards once I turn off the video. So thanks very much.
Make a comment to the world. Why are Australians obsessed with dummies?
Oh, because
They are.
we do. We have a lot of outdoor ones, I suppose.
Yeah, still, yeah.
It's an outdoor one.
Yeah, that's probably it.
And we're a bit tight on water, so we have a lot of those composting ones around.
Yeah.
And,
That's quite interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. People overseas always comment that Australians are quite obsessed by toilets. And they sense there's a bit more to it than just that.
There are places of solitude like true reflection.
Yeah, yeah.
I just wish we had the Japanese kind that warm your bum and
all of that.
and all of that stuff. Yeah,
Sophistication.
the electric ones.
But I think it's also because we're a bit raw in our sort of our way, and we like toilet jokes and humour and stuff.
No, but I should-
We're
close to shit.
We probably have more than anyone else.
Some people have theorised that it goes back to the convict thing too.
Yeah, that's
that we were ejected, thrown away like rubbish. And it actually connects to that. Also,
There's one fella like a poet's brawl at the Banjo Patterson Festival 2 years in a row. Did poems about shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just said caused a brawl.
Oh no, the Poets Brawl is an event at Banjo Patterson.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And well, thank you everyone for coming. It's good night for me and it's good night for them.